big shift now back to the right. And then I started seeing legislatures start talking about, let's put the 10 Commandments back into schools. Let's put them into everywhere we can, which sounds like a good thing. But it's like, okay, if it's voluntary, that's one thing. But if you're going to start forcing the teaching of the 10 Commandments, anytime government gets involved in forcing stuff, it's never good.
Right.
So whose version of the 10 Commandments going to be? Because, the papacy has their own version of the 10 Commandments too. And if you're watching this, you don't believe me, you can Google it. And look, they've omitted the second commandment, which is thou shalt not worship idols. They've taken the fourth commandment and turned it into the third commandment and just removed, remember the Sabbath, and what day it is, and just said, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. And then they've taken the 10th commandment to make 10 and split it into two. And so whose version of it? And then you start looking at, okay, it sounds a little bit like the Dark Ages, to where it was their version of Christianity. And if you didn't agree with that, you were punished all the way up to death.
Wow.
The same thing is going to start happening in the United States as we see a big push to save America and westernized civilization. And, a lot of the groundwork that the current president is laying right now with his executive orders, people have always talked about, Trump's going to bring in the National Sunday Law, the Mark of the Beast. Personal opinion, I don't think so, because his daughter's a Sabbath keeper. His son-in-law's a Sabbath keeper. He's one of the biggest friends of Israel, which is Sabbath keepers. He just did the proclamation, but to recognize what he called the Jewish Sabbath. But we know when the Jewish Sabbath, it's given that creation for all mankind.
Sure.
However, the things that he is doing as president, he is laying out a groundwork, what we call precedents and law, which a future president can now come in and say, because it was done before, we can do it again, but this time we want to bring in a proclamation for the first day of the week. And what may start as a proclamation will eventually become a law.
Yeah.
Because things will continue to get worse, and they've got to blame somebody. And eventually, more and more power will be given, and to where we start pushing things towards the sun. Now, the Bible makes it very clear that the whole world wanders after the beast. So it doesn't mean that this is just a Republican issue, although the Republicans are the ones that are going to start pushing these religious laws and laying the groundwork. The left somehow has to agree too. And how does the left agree? Through climate change and some of the issues of giving the world a break, giving the world a rest on a particular day, which they say Sunday would be a family day. Eventually that's going to happen. And so Satan